Alright, welcome back. Quick video to kind of catch everybody up on what's been done so far. It's been a little bit since I did a video, but there's been some struggles with this particular project. It's just because of some things are just how it's designed, and it just takes time to get things in and out. But other things, I ran into a couple things I had to fix. So stab servos are in. You guys know about that. The thrust vectoring is in. That's pretty straightforward. Nothing crazy there. The rudders, that's where I kind of ran into the issue. Looks like they just forgot to put my servo trays for the rudders in until afterwards. So they just kind of put them in and glued them in with bracing, and the angle was off and the depth was off. So what I had to do, and you can kind of reference the pictures on the build thread, is I had to put in some 1/4 inch blocks to lift it up. I glued those to the tray, and then I even had to put like a piece of, like, it's probably 2 or 3 millimeters of like little carbon fiber spacing under each end of the servo, and then that lifted it up enough to where the T-joint would engage into the drive unit on the servo. So there was some binding, so what I did was take a washer on the outboard side of the servo and put a washer and a washer to kind of turn that angle towards the inboard a little bit. And what I did was put a amp meter in the servo, in line with the servo driver that I have, and just kind of went back and forth on the servo to make sure there was no binding. And like the most I saw was like a 0.4, so no binding there on the servo. So that is kind of may not be an issue with yours, but it was definitely an issue. But I know with all the kits you've got to kind of up and down the servo to kind of get like a perfect match, just because people put the servos in a little different. Certain servos are taller, shorter, things like that. And then once it was in, the other issue I ran into was, didn't run into it on the right. The right had normal play, you know, which you're going to get, which isn't much just from the servo gears, but the left had almost 1/4 inch play back and forth when it was engaged. And what ended up being the issue, and apparently there's others with the same model, is for some reason this left T-joint is, I measured it with the calipers and it was 2.97 millimeters. This T-joint, you know, the little T's, the arms that stick out that engage in these grooves, was 3.07. The actual groove cut into the drive unit is 3.07 millimeters. So for some reason these are being manufactured, the left side is being manufactured just a very small amount smaller, but that translates into quite a bit of play, which would have resulted in flutter. So I doused my T-joint with some high sol, lubed up the drive unit, let the high sol kind of set up a little bit, and then inserted the T-joint into the drive unit to kind of shape it. That got my problem. That solved my problem as for now. I'll keep an eye on it. Others have taken aluminum tape, which is kind of a good idea, especially if you have like true aluminum, because it's only going to compress so much. But I kind of was worried that, you know, over time it would just kind of wear through that tape, but who knows. If it works, it works. But anyways, that is in and done. So takes a little to get them past a certain point, but yeah, once it's in, you can kind of see it's, you know, nice little travel, more than you're probably going to need. So that is essentially the rudders. They're in, they're done, acceptable. I went ahead and put the hatches on, nothing crazy. These were not drilled, so you had to drill them. The bottom hatches, which you can refer to the pictures, they're on there, they have to be drilled as well. So that's about it for the tail section. motors is kind of where I'm at on the tail. It's just going to take some trial and error, because you're essentially the bottom rail insert into, excuse me, it's kind of hard to see it, but there's a channel here, 2 carbon plates, glued at the back, bolted at the front. I don't know why they just didn't glue the front too, but they put a bolt in there too. So it's going to go in this channel, and it'll kind of slides in there. And then at the top, let me get a flashlight somewhere. Hold on 1 second. Oh, that don't help much. But there is just a ply, 1/4 inch ply piece. So you'll insert it in the bottom channel, and then the top will just have a screw or two to kind of secure it. It'll make it kind of easy to release. The hard part's going to be getting it, cutting because the 2 rails are wider than the turbine rails, so you have to kind of make a ply extension. So the hard part's going to be making something that gets the turbine in the vertical axis kind of lined up in the center of your thrust vectoring nozzles. So there is an angle. I'll check those. Make it point towards the CG. It's got some built in already, so we'll see how it goes. But that's just going to be trial and error, and I've just kind of put that off since I hadn't really felt like it, and I was busy doing other things. But last night I did manage to kind of shift gears because I was wanting to do something. So I switched gears and went over to the canopy, and the pictures will be in the thread, but they didn't send me an air cylinder for open and close. It did have one up here for the lock, but I've since removed it because I'm just going to put another linear actuator on the underside of the nose, and it's going to just run the pin in through this side. I'll put a brass tube with some high saw and a block in there to kind of hold it or give it a more rigid area, because if you have a pin going through just the skin, it'll eventually wear out. But I went with a 30mm stroke electronic linear actuator, and essentially all I did was remove this cross beam had this built-in mount system. I just removed the bracket they installed. They had like a pre-installed bracket. I just removed that and then put one of the metal U-shaped brackets and attached it with a 3mm bolt. It comes with the linear actuator, and it works pretty good. You have to kind of fit right here to allow clearance when it's all the way open. So I am getting full stroke on it, and the canopy install itself was a pain. I wasn't expecting this. To get the rear section to clear, because it's kind of got this odd shape. You can kind of see it here. It's got that curvature to it, and if you get it too low or too close or off centered, it'll hit as it comes up and out. So, and then when the bulkhead, I guess the bulkhead's a little off, so when I installed one screw and kind of held it in place, the cockpit was kind of shifted like this, so when it would come down it wouldn't sit in the channel for the nose. So I had to put a spacer on this side, and I just simply put a washer. It's hard to see it, but there's a washer on that side to kind of lift that side up. So I got one screw in with a kind of a larger hole, moved that bracket around until all this stuff was lined up, and then I got another screw in to hold it. Excuse me. But that was quite a, man, I'm losing my voice. That was quite a challenge, but it's in there now. Man, excuse me. Yeah, sorry, it's hard to see, but just 4 screws, and you do have to kind of trim right in this area for clearance. Ooh, it's focusing. Yeah, you can kind of see it there, but looks scale, good angle. I'm actually gonna probably paint that gray area black. So all you'll see when it's extended is the silver area of the tube. So, but that's it. So I'm gonna start on getting those, getting the motors installed. So next video will probably be showing all that stuff. You guys take it easy. Losing my voice, crap.